Good evening, everybody. This is Ken at Tortoise Capital for June 16th, 2019. With our visual trade framing for swing trades on daily charts with the ETF 30 and key members of the Dow 30. So, Alcoa, just notice the difference between trader's price, here the RL10 and the RL270, which is long-term fair value. That long decay, notice the river and the dragon moving downward, and then we've just recently completed this base action in here, and we set this up as a critical state trade. Earlier this week there was a 8% move that was available on intraday trading, so we took that with hybrid frogs and cashed. That was like an 8% move of total price, but then Friday, failure to fail further. See this a little easier. Failure to fail further, and we took that entry on Friday with a tight stop down here, or about a 5% trailing stop. So that's Alcoa. Apple, this bend in the river, bend in the dragon. That's the RLXD entry. If you're in this trade, I'd have my stop here. I wouldn't be offended if you were up in here. And if we get any kind of movement in Alcoa early, then I'd be raising that stop. But this is if I've entered anywhere in here, this is about where I want my stop, at the top of that. American Express, same thing, a critical state 1, 2, 3 entry, or an RLXD entry, or a pocket entry. Take your pick. That could have been very easily a spring followed by a summer move in here. This is where I would have that stop. I would not be offended if you raise this up into here, and if we get any kind of positive motion, I'd be looking to raise that block. I like the low, the higher low, the higher low. Everything looks good. Boeing, this channeling has been favorable for very short-term trading. It's trying to put a base in here. So we've seen a low, that low repeated. If it holds here, that's a slightly higher low. I'd be willing to buy a breakout on the RLXD right there. I would have my stop down here below the either the RL30 or more likely the RL10. I wouldn't be offended if you took at the belly of the dragon either. I'd be looking at second position above the breakout above RL270. My initial target would be Bollinger Band mean, or I'm sorry, the 200-day moving average. Excuse me. There's the Bollinger Band mean. Caterpillar, the usual RLXD entry, support raised to here. It's trying to hold on the RL270. Next target is the 200-day. Cliffs Natural Resources, same. You're going to see a lot of the materials kind of in this position here too. I want you to notice the power of that RLXD entry. The long here, especially the short here. 1, 2, 3 entry possible. Also entry in here. If I've entered in here, that's where my stop is going to be. I treat this as a support level. Cisco. I was late, should have gotten out of this on Friday. I was not paying attention. My exit should have been up in here underneath all this support. But as it stands right now, I'll take this with the RL270 as basically if it hits, I'm scratched and out. Disappointing. Entry. Stop is here. Wouldn't be offended if you raised it to just below the Bollinger Band mean. But I'm going to take the bottom of the dragon and just trust that. Chevron, the usual. The Dow 30. I'm looking at this as a consolidation zone. If you've got this entry here or a 1, 2, 3 entry from here, then my stop would be here below the noise buffer of the dragon. I would not be offended if you wanted to lock in gains right here. However, in fact, I think that's what I'm going to do, because I've got this entry in here. Disney, all systems go. This double bottom support entered at the RLXD. got protected by the belly of the dragon. When it broke back to the upside, re-entry here, or second position here, my stop would be here. On this doji, if you wanted to lock in a gain on the second one, that would not be outrageous. Devon Energy in perfect position. If we get any kind of positive gains here, I'll buy that with a stop right here. I'm really liking that. An effort on the long, fractional loss, re-entry on the RLXD, locked in the gains. Probably should have been here, but we'll take that one. Now I'm ready. I'm short on this one here at the stop and reverse with a stop at the top of the dragon. My target is down here. Because of that consolidation here, there wasn't any buying pressure. I wouldn't be offended by a stop right there to lock in that gain. Long, my stop is here. The RLXD got me in, but that gap is troublesome. I still am holding out some hopes for this thing to get back up to 46.75, but Brazil, the RLXD with an initial stop here, it got into this congestion zone, and that was just too much on for me on Friday. I wanted to lock that in as it was coming up to the PSAR anyway. Facebook, long, stop is here. If you wanted to lock in a gain by going here, not offended. I come back to Facebook just for a minute. You might ask where that second entry would be. I think it's above here. Third entry above here. And another one there. Okay. GE, we're long. Stop at break even. If we get any kind of weakness, let's lock in a little bit. Gold. I like it long. That was troublesome. Let's raise our stop to here. Goldman, long, holding nicely. Stop is here at the PSAR. Home Depot, long at the RLXD, long at the resumption. This is where that next entry should be. If we get any kind of motion up, we'll get a third position in. And let's put our stop right here. Lock in that second position gain. IBM, usual. Yeah, when you see that, this is where that stop should be, is at the bottom of this. Once I place those, that's the swing stop. But if I saw weakness intraday and it was in this yellow zone, I have permission to myself to make exits inside here if the intraday price level is no good. But it's the bottom of those yellow boxes. I should have clarified. This is one where Friday's my stop had been here. Didn't like this price action at all, so we just went ahead and took that in Latin America. Intel. Yeah, don't like. Let's raise it, stop to there. Russell, still in good shape. Real estate. Gonna lock in again. Excuse me. Johnson. I mean, I should have. I was kicking myself for not taking that one. I still think the sector that it's in has been giving me some benefits. So, but we had 2 positions in there. This one locks in a gain on the second position, so I don't actually mind that one. JP Morgan, still in good shape. Coca-Cola. If you're in this from anywhere, this is where my stop would be, is at the bottom of this yellow box because of that failure to follow through. That's front running the PSAR a little bit, but there you are. Bottom of the yellow box. Good shape. Marijuana, we were long and get stopped out. 3M, long. I'm going to have my stop right here at the PSAR. 1, 2, and 3. Whoops, excuse me. Merck, where are you at? Yeah, so 3 positions. You can see the stops we were using on each of those. This stop right here, I'm going to raise that a little there. I don't want to stick around much longer, especially looking at all that resistance that's baked in up in here at fair value. Hate to give that one up, but we will. Microsoft, long one, stops at the bottom here. If it breaks out above this at 133.96, let's add a second position right here. If it breaks out above. Neo, just getting punished in the trade war. Short, tighten up the stop to here. Nike. If you had any of these entries, the 1, 2, 3 or the RLXD, it's running into resistance here. So I think I would be looking at tightening up. Probably just underneath the Bollinger Band mean, or the Bollinger Band mean. Excuse me. Pfizer hit the resistance at the top of the hump of the dragon on 3 positions. That was enough. Procter. Well, let's come back and look at this one again. So, would I go short this one? Boy, that's hard. It's at the 200 and it's failed. The last time it failed, I think I would be prepared for that on the chance that maybe this is not any, that run is done. Yeah, I think so. And at the same time, I would bracket this as a critical state breakout above here. So I think that's what I'm looking at. Trade in either one of those directions. Let's look at that one. Yeah, I like that. Procter. 3 in the can and looking good. Tightest stop is tightened. Tech. If you've got any of these entries in here, I think we got to have our stop right at the Bollinger Band mean. And I think I would look at adding a position if we could get above that 2-day high. Then with a target of the top of the dragon hump up in there. Yeah, that looks good. Schlumberger. I think I like the base that it's putting in. It's failed to fail further. I think if we get a move above that, we're good. I think I would also get short if it broke down below here. Semis, just missed the, I mean, so bad. That gap hurt us. Had to scratch. That being said, if we get tech benefits here, I'll start with a intraday trade, and I'm ready to go in either direction, I think, on this one. But that was just one Poor trade execution. Let that one get away. The S&P. This is the big yellow box is the 30-day. Middle yellow box is the 10-day, and this is the 1-day trade frame. So I would get long above that green line, short below that red line. I'd add second position short here on the break of this support and a break of the Bollinger Band mean. Probably another one if the dragon broke. Belly of the 10, belly of the dragon. If the 200-day broke, and then if the 30-day range broke. So that's kind of that multi-time frame lens analysis for you right there. At a critical state right in here, but we've enjoyed this nice run up. And as if you listen to the weekend report, we made the case for why a second leg up could continue here, but really it's got to get through this 293 level to be persuasive at all. Treasuries have had a nice run. We cashed a double position. That felt safe and defensive with a tight stop in here, and then short if that collapses. But you know, really, if this collapses, it's because the rest of the market, you know, the equities are doing well, and I think I'd rather have that money in the winners rather than short in the treasuries. But that's kind of the trigger that would confirm that we should be looking at treasuries, and meanwhile this will be okay. And then if the equities get weak, this is where we'd probably end up adding a second position around 132.50. So I look at that one as a hedge. 3 in the can right now. We're gonna have to put that stop in. I think it's got to go right about here in order to lock in this gains on the third one. I think we're looking at the bottom of the dragon. That's in good shape. Could we add a fourth? Oof. Man. Boy, that's starting to get pretty fragile. Some nosebleed territory. I think 3 is fine. Tesla has been a tactical play. I think we got to raise our stop to the 2-day low, and these are the areas where we got to make decisions about adding second. But really, I would prefer to do those as intraday positions and then hold portions of that overnight rather than playing the swing. Although the swing actually feels pretty good right now. Natural gas. So we like that with a stop down here, targeting Bollinger Band mean, hump of the dragon. That's a deep discount play. Oil. I'm ready to play the breakout from that yellow box in either direction. United Tech, just the news of it split up, crushing. It's too hard to play right now. Verizon, long. I want to put I would raise my stop up into here because this has been a pretty tight sideways channel. So I would look to lock that in. Maybe with some precision. Let's put that right here halfway. Walmart, yay! Should have probably had a third position in this thing. So if it breaks out above the real body, let's add a third position there. I mean, we're free and clear, must own, 2 positions deep in the money, strong summer move. What's not to love? Cashed a really nice trade here in Wheaton, missed that downward move. This, by the way, that should have been red. That was the exit. Sorry about that. On the RLXD from the double, it should have been a stop and reverse, but was not paying attention. Missed this one, and should have covered down in here. But that's the nature of the beast. Win. that's the way the previous one should have been played. 2 positions long, this one scratched, it got short, secondary position covered, then got long, and with a stop down here. That one will continue to pay us. Win is such an excellent swinging. Got long on US steel. I like this base down here. Materials, got 2 positions in and a tight stop. Energy, long. Finance, long, but you know, that one, it's in the middle of a pretty tight trading range. There's going to be a lot of resistance up in here, but we'll see. This gets us at least a no lose. Industrials in good shape. I moved my stop up into here. I don't have a lot of belief in that one. Tech is in pretty good shape if you're entered down here, but so I think your stop's got to be right about here. This is kind of in a critical state. Staples, 2 positions in and going. That was the reason I stayed longer than I probably should have in Johnson & Johnson, but you know, there you are. Maybe we should be tightening up this stop to about here to get that second position and break even. Let's do that. That color should have been green. Sorry about that. I want to tighten this up into here. Discretionary, looking good. Strong resistance here, but if it gets through that green, this is where we'll add that next position. Metals and mining, I like it. That's sort of, if that works, then Alcoa is going to work too, that we saw earlier. ExxonMobil, along with the energy sector, we're long from here. Let's put our stop. I like where that stop is, kind of though, at break even right there. And then finally, we're 1, 2, 3 positions short. My stop to cover is right here. That will be a stop and reverse if that happens. Okay. But meanwhile, we'll keep riding that punk down. All right, that's everything we got from the swing updates, and hopefully you see the ideas behind that RLXD, especially after long turning movements, and then buying them in that or selling them in that little pocket when it crosses. So keep your risk measured and your powder dry.